Hello, Mr. Rohit. Nice to meet you. Welcome to the Romanian channel. Mr. Rohit is the CTO of Binance. That means the man who is in charge of technology, which is, in my opinion, more important than the money itself. So, Mr. Welcome. My first question it is, who is Rohit?
That's a very good question. First of all, thank you for welcoming me. Thank you for the time. And before I answer your question, I have to tell you an interesting thing. We have a few engineers in Iași, in Romania.
Wow.
Yeah, so some of our work on tax, etc., gets done out of that Romanian team in Iași. They're amazing engineers, and we are. So I feel happy that to talk to someone from Romania.
Nice.
All right.
My first question is, what is the biggest technological challenge in Binance? Because, when you have almost 240 million users, it's not like you are, like you have a game or something.
So there are several challenges, and I don't know which one to call the most important or interesting, but there are several, and let me go down the list. Number one is the challenge of scale. So the demand can surge, right? So there are sometimes then we can predict the demand. So for instance, if some event is happening on Ethereum or Bitcoin, if we can predict that, then we can build for that demand. But often there is a surge, like whether it's the dogs. All right, it's a surge. And so how can we build our system out that it can handle this surge without going down? And we are capable now of, compared to the peak that we saw, we are capable of handling 2 to 3 times that peak at any time. So that is an important technical challenge. And one way to do it would be to just buy the machines and put them, but then you're wasting money because you're built out for so much and you're wasting money. So how can you predict demand? How can you elastically scale? Because at the time that you hit the demand, if you start scaling, then it's too late. Right. So that is an important challenge. Another challenge is how do we ensure that users are safe?
Exactly.
So if you look at a lot of hacks that happen, most of the hacks, I would say, I don't know the percentage, but I would say over 90% are not because the wallet got hacked or something. It's because your credentials got compromised. Someone phished you, someone took something from you, right? And even if people have 2FA, etc., they sometimes are careless, etc. So that's the second challenge. So how can we have 2FA and things like that are very strong, but not a pain for you to adopt,
Exactly.
Number one. And even if you got compromised, can we have AI that looks at your behavior and says, aha, I think this guy's compromised. Let me block his account. Or let me say, you can't do the withdrawal. You have to call our CS team or message our CS team. And so that's the second challenge is what are all the things we can do to keep our users safe and secure? The third one, I can give you one more and then I will stop, is we want to be of use to 100 million, 200 million, 500 million more people. And these people will not all be traders.
Exactly.
These new people will not all be traders. And it's completely okay for them to not be traders. But they have to go through our KYC process because we want to make sure that you are who you say you are, that we are following the laws wherever you come from, etc. So how can we do this KYC process in a very efficient way for these 200 million people? How can we make sure that they are protected and the platform is protected? How can we, even in the app, how can we make sure that they understand what's going on? Things like that. That's the third big challenge.
Another question is, how is the regulation impacting the technology side? Because, regulation change.
Yes.
1 year is like this, 1 year is different. Next year, we don't know.
So this is a very good question. And since I'm a technologist, I try to look for technical solutions. So I and my team cannot be experts in the law in Romania and France and UAE and so on. It's just not possible for us, one person, to understand this. So what we have built is a technological, we call it a compliance framework. And what that does is it is capable of enforcing any law that any jurisdiction has. So for instance, if I say, hey, Joe has come onto the site and Joe's KYC says that, let's say, he's a Brazilian user, then the Brazilian regulations get applied to him. And who's configuring the Brazilian regulations? the Brazilian compliance team, the Brazilian legal team. So I don't even know what is the law in Romania or Brazil or so on. Now, that's the job of the compliance team. What my job is to make sure that the code can enforce that law. Right. And so that way we can scale. And that way, if you want to bring up a new country, it's very easy. You can encode the law, and boom, you're live.
The last question it is artificial intelligence and quantum computing helping Binance now or can be an issue for the future?
Aha. Artificial intelligence, certainly. We use it everywhere. We use it everywhere. We use, what I call classic neural networks, things like that. We use GPTs, we use LLMs, we use off-the-shelf components such as the ones from Azure. Azure and OpenAI is the same thing. Azure or Amazon. And we fine-tune our own from open source. So we use all of this for a lot of different use cases. So AI already a big part of our program already. Quantum computing, we aren't using as much. And quantum computing, a lot of people worry that it could pose a threat to blockchains in general, because you could just essentially beat the encryption. And that is a matter of speculation, but it looks like we are still a few years at least away from quantum computers being able to crack the encryption. But yeah, that is a very good question. And that's a question that applies not just to Binance, but for all blockchain world.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Pleasure.
It was a pleasure.
I have a question aside of that, but with Rohit,